Does that mean it's on? Is it on?
No, it means when you hit the button on StreamYard.
It means
We covered this before on a stream, but it's been a while. It could take anywhere from a half a second to like 10 seconds, and you have no idea. So like whenever we're trying to go live with the streams, we just hit the button and we're like,
we have to do this and stare creepily into the camera.
If we have a cool intro idea, we always just like get wrecked by the anxiety of not knowing when it's going to happen, and we ruin our intros.
Our only good well-timed intro was Rachel blowing smoke into the camera and going, "Fuck Joe Biden, man." That was our.
You're not my real dad, Joe Biden. And to be clear, Joe Biden, you're not my real dad.
Joe Biden is my real
dad. Back and you can fuck.
Andrea, what's it like to have Joe Biden as your real dad?
Well, as you know, Joe Biden does like children jumping on his lap. And this was always a very awkward family dynamic at Thanksgivings and other family reunions.
No.
Oh, no. All right, shutting this down. All right, so moving on.
Is Joe Biden just your dad, or is he also your daddy?
No comment.
All right, fair enough.
I know that Joe Biden is only related. He only has relations with his granddaughters. So I'm not the granddaughter. I'm just a daughter.
Do you feel safer?
I do feel safer. It's like baldness. It skips a generation.
That's fair.
Oh no!
Baldness skips a generation. All right.
Fucking cancel.
Let's talk. So obviously, like,
are we talking about People's Party or what?
Yeah, because like the world is going to hell, and like it's extremely going to hell. But like,
I'm going to present a very grim thesis about the world going to hell later in the week, but I don't have the stomach for it today.
Yeah, like let's chill today. Let's
So like, I have been playing a very fun game for the PlayStation called Fall Guys, and it's been a lot of fun.
Which PlayStation?
The PlayStation 4. The newish one.
Rachel, you missed it. We streamed Fall Guys.
What? At
the end of the telethon on Friday for rent relief.
I missed it. Yeah,
we raised $3,000 for rent relief.
Excuse me, $3,700.
$3,700, almost $4,000 for rent relief. It was an incredible telethon. If y'all missed it, it's in the YouTube archive.
Just do y'all want to like clip any of that stuff up?
Maybe. Probably. There's a couple things. There's a couple things in particular. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Because there were a couple of incredible segments.
Donate to this? Like, I mean, obviously people can still donate to like Los Vecinos at Buford Highway or whatever, but like, if they're like watching the telethon, is it too late if they go back and watch it after?
I think the fundraiser just closed. I'll check the page.
Yeah.
I think it just closed.
There are ways to contribute to Los Vecinos at any time, though, so I understand it. So I think you would just need to get in touch with that org because like, they're always doing things.
It's never too late to give money to Los Vecinos at Buford Highway.
They actually still that fundraiser is still open, but it's going to close like any minute. So if you want to donate, slide that in at bit.ly. Oh God, it's a whole URL. I'll put it in here, but it's at bit.ly/Vecinos Project 50. And you've got to capitalize the
V and the P.
And the P.
Oh boy.
It's a whole thing. And I know, Rachel, as soon as I said the V and the P, Rachel's eyes just lit up like a child on Christmas. Just like,
I actually wasn't even thinking about that. Is the sad thing is like I completely missed that there was a vagine EPP reference.
These are really dark times for you because typically
I know
just all over it.
Do I have to be?
Look at how many. Wait, stop. Look at how many supporters.
My goodness.
Look at how many supporters.
We did it.
Nice. We did it. Could you zoom it? Wait, could you just like screen clip just the 69 supporters or something?
This is in YouTube. This is in HD. It's going to be fine. Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
We're complete goofs, but no. Actually, that is how we should have. If we had a real producer,
as opposed to what we do,
our volunteer producer, yeah,
as opposed to us,
yeah, as opposed to us, we would have jumped all over that as our lead story instead of sitting here riffing for 5 minutes.
69 rent relief supporters should have been the headline.
We did a great job, and
this is a missed out. Can we start over?
Yeah.
Okay, so, this episode is canceled. We're just gonna start a new one. Come back in 5 minutes. We're gonna pretend it didn't happen. We're gonna erase it from.
No, we're not. No, we're not doing
it. There's gonna be no sign that we flubbed it like this. It's fine. We're all gonna agree, between us, you, the fan, and me, and also
the air conditioner
hosts, that we're just not gonna talk about it. And it never happened, and we did it right the first time.
Rachel, this is a little bit like the classic film Avengers Endgame, because if you rewrite the timeline, you're erasing our whole Biden daddy riff from the timeline.
Exactly. And I tried really hard.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing I've ever said probably all year. So
I am really authentically convinced that actually if we erased that bit from the timeline, it would be fine. We would be less likely to get canceled.
It's fine.
I disagree, honestly.
Rachel,
then you hear the left hates Biden, so mocking him is good.
Yeah.
We can get clout. Maybe we'll get on the next People's Convention podcast.
Good point.
I want to
be. We should have been invited as speakers to the People's Convention. First of all, I just want to say
this is my official
any
point of view.
People's Party convention people are watching this, and I know you are. I know you watch every time, Nina. Come on, just
hello, somebody. Come on,
Andrea. I was literally about to say that you should have been the MC for the event. And then you do the unseasoned Nina Turner, and then I have to be like, that was not great. But no, okay, that was such a smooth segue that I guess we now have to talk a little bit about People's Convention.
I like to call it the People's Convention podcast, as that is all that it is.
We haven't spoken. We haven't talked about this. I don't know if you listened to me talk to Alyssa last night, but that is literally. Okay, that is literally my opinion right now.
Yes, we are on the same wavelength. We're the same person.
Right now.
Echo chamber.
And we're the left, so it is an echo chamber. No dissent is ever allowed or encouraged at any time.
Exclusively and only perfect uniformity at all times.
Perfectly uniformed people agreeing with each other.
Unity.
Yeah, it's how you can't tell the difference between me and my beautiful son that I adopted, Brandon.
That's correct.
People say all the time, oh, Rachel, did you get cloned? And I say, yeah, I did. Brandon's my clone. We're both left. That's how it works.
That's our screenshot for, and that'll be Andrea's property.
No.
First of all, I love. First of all, I love that Andrea has a triggered face.
Here, zoom in on this comment, please. Okay. I think.
All right.
There you go.
I love that she just has triggered face locked in. She has shocked face locked in. She has overjoyed face. It's like a male model doing the blue steel with the fucking exactly.
Brandon, why can't models do blue steel?
I don't know what blue steel is, so I'm just going to think that you misgendered me, and I'm going to cancel you.
That's fair. but okay, listen. With all that to the side, hot take, and maybe it's not a hot take. The People's Party right now is a podcast.
Yes. Are they going to do another podcast? When's their schedule?
There's social media. There's getting guests. This was basically the same amount of production as our telethon. In fact, a slightly lesser production quality.
How long did it run for?
5 hours.
I just want to say this. I have produced 72-hour-long streams in the past. All by myself.
Did you
sleep? I did once, but so for me, for this to get so much attention, and I looked at it a little bit. It just looked kind of low res. I mean, it was okay. Again, I'm not trying to attack anyone because I like most of the people except for Jimmy Dore that were on there, and but to me it feels like a grift. Like I don't like.
So,
I don't trust. First of all, like if we're allowed to just mock Jimmy Dore's appearance there, like I don't trust anything he says when it comes to strategic electoralism.
no.
Like this is the guy who's like Tulsi Gabbard's gonna beat Bernie. It's like
my hot take is that 100% of the time, if they have to tell you they are quote unquote the people's, they aren't.
So
People's Republic of North Korea. Or
you're gonna get us. You're gonna get us.
Don't start this because
don't start.
No.
The tankies will get in the mentions.
The tankies are already in the mentions.
Yeah.
Every day.
How we get the much larger group of like idpol or anti-idpol, like shithead class reductionist, like Jacobin people to follow us. And by pissing off both of them, we just get famous.
Do we get famous though? I'm in favor of anything that gets us famous. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I want to wait.
We should get famous off of this, just attacking the People's Party podcast.
Well, okay. Yeah. Let's come back to that. Yes, the People's Party is a podcast with slightly lower production values than like our podcast.
Lower.
However, a better podcast than anything the Green Party has done.
That is true. I will endorse that statement. Same wavelength.
I saw on Twitter some people like, well, if they're really about doing such and such, why don't they work with the Green Party and help the Green Party? And I'm like, listen, all this was a Zoom call. So if you're telling me that the Greens are having problems running a Zoom call, then that's a good reason to cut them out of what you're organizing. So they're a podcast, but they might be a good podcast, and that might be okay. Like, it's a low bar, but they've jumped the very low bar of like doing an event competently.
Yeah.
Is it only like okay? I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch any of it. Okay. Was it only one night? It
was one night. It was one long night, and they tried to get everybody to download the app. They were going to have a vote on whether to form a party at the end of the night, and you had to have the app in order to vote. And of course, everyone, if you have the app, you're voting yes. Because you care enough to download the app. It's list building, like really cynical list building tactic. But their platform is basically Bernie 2016.
It's yeah. You know when we joke about
it's worse than Bernie 2020?
Say what?
Was it worse than Bernie 2020 then? Because I thought the 2020 campaign had some cool stuff in comparison.
I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but it's in very Bernie 2016 mode.
We've joked about like how sometimes you end up with all these progressives whose platforms sound exactly the same. It's like the People's Party's platform is just like that platform. It's like you already know what it says without looking at it. It's like healthcare, climate, get a wage, etc.
Yes. It is
just like the distilled platform of
the online left,
which is fine because I mean, by comparison, a lot of the Green Party platform stuff is like completely incoherent. So
actually, I want to talk about that, and Kennedy, I'm going to kick it right back to you, but I do want to just like use this as a frame.
Sure.
The People's Party, slightly to the right of the Green Party.
Definitely, yeah.
Is that good or is that bad?
Neither.
Okay.
Because they're not going to get any votes, so it doesn't matter.
Lemon, we love grifters, we love leeches. Give us content. That's really the deal, and we'll give you some clout.
That's how it works.
Why do you think I'm here?
Yeah, Andrea just literally was just like, I want some clout, and we're like, okay. What are your skills?
What are your qualifications for this clout?
I never shut up. And we were like, that's great. That's a great skill.
85% of the job is just making noise consistently. Like
I just had a thought.
Okay.
I have a proof.
The OC or the OUGHT kind?
The bad kind.
Okay, that's the OUGHT kind. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So the kind that comes out of here. So I had a thought, which is I have the ultimate proof that the People's Party is a podcast. And it's how Ryan Knight asked Tulsi Gabbard to come.
Okay.
That was literally podcaster shit. He was just like, Tulsi, like on the timeline on Twitter, Tulsi, come speak on the people. Like, this is what we do to like guests that we want that are too big for us sometimes.
Can
We're
I
just like,
why
we're
would
just like,
Tulsi be invited?
Ed Markey, please come on our shitty leftist podcast.
I just like this obsession with Tulsi Gabbard from people who self-identify as leftist who aren't leftist is so bizarre to me. Like I'm still like seeing people in the wild, like in their natural habitats, just roaming and grazing, that think that Tulsi Gabbard was to the left of Bernie Sanders. And it's like every time I see that, it's like I feel like I've been caught in a time loop. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm stuck in some sort of like Groundhog Day scenario, and it's just bizarre. I don't get it.
So this is, and by the way, I don't want to sound like we're completely down on their group, because it was a really nice thing. Like you spend an hour, like you spend 3 or 4 hours with people who like you do largely agree with, and they're all very cool. You like hanging out with them, excluding like 1 or 2 people
Who's the second person? I didn't look at the full lineup.
I don't want to name this other person because I need to
private chat.
I need to look deeper into this person before I say too weird. Don't want to associate with them, especially because I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
But
I'm sorry, I just read the private chat.
Okay.
I have no idea who this person is, so I assume that they must really deeply matter.
But either way, so you're at this convention, you're hanging out with people that you like, and that's cool. Nina Turner does her thing, Cornel West does his thing, and you're happy, it's cool. The actual problems of any political organization have not been run into yet.
Right.
And the problems of a political party, which is an even harder thing to do, is not done yet either, or even started yet either.
They have not yet had like an attempted coup by a contingent of COINTELPRO libs who steal from the organization and then try to say that the black chair is racist.
Right. That hasn't happened to them yet.
Right.
But
it will.
Right.
It will. It inevitably happens, actually. It is a necessary and essential part of the democratic process.
I just, like, my thing is just, like, we have nothing to really judge them by right now in particular, right, other than, like, okay, they gave a good speech.
That's good.
That's Cornel West, always great to see him speak. Marianne Williamson was there.
We love Mommy.
Kristen, I mean, it was cool.
Also, a lot of the less cloudy speakers were very good.
Yeah, the less I would definitely actually agree with that really strongly. A lot of the no-name speakers were brilliant. Like
Kristen Shikashi Belknap was very good. Chris Hedges is not a no-name, but Chris Hedges gave a great journalistic, like what you want Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite to do, in your fan fiction or whatever. Like there were plenty of good speakers up and down the lineup.
So that's good, but the only other thing I have to judge them on is like their sort of loose lack of planning and unwillingness to work with like the Green Party, which is not so good. Like
have they given reasons for being unwilling to work with the Green Party? Like what's going on there?
Let's game this out a little bit.
Okay.
Let's say that I'm starting a third party.
Okay.
I've made that takes a lot of leaps in logic, but let's say that I feel like the most important thing right now is an independent left-wing party. If you know me at all, this is the exact opposite of my view, and that political parties don't matter.
We're just engaging in a thought experiment.
Right, exactly.
We were the kind of rube who believed in political parties in the first place.
Right, a THOT thought experiment. I want to take on the Democrats. Realistically, my first step is probably to surpass the Green Party. I don't know if there's room for 2 left-wing political parties in America that are like major third party, whatever. Obviously, I want to do as much as possible, but like, how much do I need to work with the Green Party if it is my goal to replace the Green Party? It seems like the People's Party right now has a pretty broad coalition because right now the stage they're in is at the clout gathering stage, and getting in like your biggest podcast guests and drawing up a broad platform that they all agree to, and that's cool. But they're gonna have problems later with like who's in charge, what are we running, what is our strategy. Right now the strategy is to build a mailing list, so they're doing that right now, and they're getting people to download an app, and they're getting it's a game of King of the Hill. Like, all right, like Flow Girl, check this out. Tulsi Gabbard, is she invited? Yes or no? And so now we've got to argue over that. Okay.
Yeah.
The People's Party platform right now is an anti-gun platform. Should they be pro-gun or anti-gun?
Is it really anti-gun?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a gun control, like, violence is ravaging our streets. So like,
did they go after the rioters and looters?
No, it's not like that,
Okay.
but it's
All
like,
right.
mass shootings in our streets and gun control. Like, it's a
mean,
gun control platform. So should that be the platform, or should it be a leftist, the people must take
all these platform questions aside, I think the real issue with their stance towards the Green Party is that they're not committing. I think that the People's Party should either, and they have time to do this still, to be clear. It's like this has just started. So I don't want this to sound like they should have done this by now. If they haven't done this like 2 years from now, I would be extremely concerned. But they've got time right now. But they need to either say, we want to be the leftist party of America. The Green Party has failed consistently, and we're gonna do better than that. And like say that, or they need to say we're building a coalition with the Green Party. In my opinion, like they need to like pick a lane, because if they're just like the Green Party's theoretically fine, we won't work with them, but they're theoretically fine. That's literally just splitting the resources. Like, and it's just like ensuring that leftists don't win anywhere, in my opinion.
Well, it's possible, and this might be or may not be what happens. It is possible to build a larger party than the Green Party without engaging with the Green Party at all.
I don't think that actually would even be particularly hard.
I think you could do that like by the end of the year, to be honest.
I have a lot of respect for the Green Party.
No disrespect.
However, comrades. Like, I am not saying in any capacity like Green Party bad.
I want to make y'all back up just a little bit, because I think y'all are underestimating a little bit just the amount of people that do organizing, like at the state level and stuff, to make the Green Party a thing right now.
I know,
like,
they have ballot access. That's not nothing.
If People's Party is going to build that same kind of organizing base, like they need hundreds to thousands of people to like, put serious time in, because the Green Party has that already.
Yes.
Like we might underestimate how much the Green Party has at times, and we might kind of fairly also judge them at times for like kind of not having their shit together, but they still have like a structure that is like in place with people that are dedicated to working it. And my concern especially is that a lot of people right now are going to be kind of excited about this People's Party thing, but are there going to be enough people excited enough to put thousands of hours into volunteering in 2022 to get a People's Party person elected to city council? Because like, that's a lot of work. And the Green Party already tries to do that work and fails consistently with a huge structure.
Are we going to canvass and build a national list? Because that is what the Democratic Party has, which is just they have a list of everybody in the country and what their political affiliation is.
And so, when I say I don't think it would actually be that hard to overtake the Green Party, it is not because I don't recognize that the Green Party is legitimate, right? Because like I do think they are. But I think that there are sort of intrinsic limits to how marketable the Green Party is going to be. And
you don't think there's intrinsic limits to how marketable this is going to be?
Wait.
I think that this is going to.
And I think that those have sort of already been reached and established, right? So, like, I agree with you. Like, do I think that these people are going to take over the Green Party? No. Do I think it is possible to overtake the Green Party? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not talking about these people. We already established, like, I don't know shit about them. Like,
wow. Okay, let's ask this, because there's a very good comment that hasn't been printed yet and
Okay.
I'll print it in a second, but I want to bring this up. Is the People's Party a leftist party?
Probably not. It sounds like not. If they're to the right of the Green Party, definitely not, because the Green Party is a reformist party. And there is, I think, at this point, a legitimate point of contention if you're going to deal with any party that is considering reform as an option.
Well, they're not I don't know whether the Green Party can call itself a revolutionary party, but I would say the Green Party is comfortably a leftist party.
Yeah.
But like the
maybe left, but not hard left. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the.
They're not. I mean, if you decide that like the PSL is the left party,
I don't think being more revolutionary makes you further left per se. And I will say that, like, in defense of like the Green Party, I've heard the wildest, most like impossibly fantasy leftist takes from Green Party folks. So I will give them that.
they are not bound by any boundaries of electability or reliability or coalition building. Really, like if you get a panel of Green Party candidate, they just say whatever, like with no disrespect to anybody. I'm just saying, but they say whatever.
It's a very inconsistent party.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
And
wildly.
I think maybe that might be part of it too, because like I can think, like, I have friends who are in the Green Party who are absolutely, definitely comrades, right? But then they'll like turn around and say things that like there's no such thing. And this is like a fight I had with a friend recently who I genuinely adore. But they'll say like there's no such thing as a left libertarian, and it's like you don't actually understand this.
So this is
showing, you know, and I feel like that is a common experience I have had with like Green Party, right. And like especially in Green Party Georgia, which this person is not, but like Green Party Georgia is a fucking mess. And so I feel like as much infrastructure as the Green Party has, as much purchase as they have, you know, they are not really on a lot of tickets in a lot of races to begin with. They're not really getting people into office. You know, they're wildly inconsistent across states, you know, between states. You're going to get a completely different Green Party in a lot of different places. And to me, that kind of disorganization makes them kind of an easy target. I mean,
you're being a little unfair, because once they reach that 5%, then they're good. Then everything will magically be better. Well, and the 20 plus years of bad organization.
Yeah, that's why they're just so focused on protest voting to bring them up to 5%, so that they'll get the government money to run for office. At which point they'll start winning elections.
Here's why, though. This like feeds into why I don't expect the People's Party to be able to overtake the Green Party, because you cannot convince me it's going to be more organized than the Green Party's mess, basically.
Yeah.
Because I just don't see, unless something really changes in the way that the People's Party is going right now, it's basically like a feel-good thing for all of us who are like bummed that Bernie lost. And it's like, that's cool and all, but like, how many people are actually going to stick with that? Most people are going to start moving on to like different things.
I want to,
yeah, like where will you be in 6 months? Will you still be at these meetings?
Yeah.
I want to like quickly like touch on that. The reason why Bernie Sanders raised so much money during his 2 runs for president and had so much funding, people believed that he could get elected as president. Like they thought it would be hard, but if we can pull this thing out, our guy can be elected as president and will represent our values.
How naive.
But anyway, that's true. But given that, is that same fundraising base available to we won't get elected president?
No.
In the election. But like but especially if you are asking for money from poor people.
Well, and here's the thing is the people who would donate to the People's Party are already donating to the Democratic Party, because every single one of them is a never Trumper. Like every single one of them is like, we have to get Trump out of office. And it's like that same sort of coalescing, like.
Is that true?
Pool.
No.
I would say a lot of the People's Party guys are like accelerationists.
Kinds of people who are also like, well, if I'm going to donate money, I'm going to donate it to like get Trump out, as opposed to like positively donating towards like productive causes. Like every single person who would buy into that is already bought into like 2020. Like, fuck it, I guess we have to get Biden into office.
I don't believe that's true. I think most of the People's Party people are burned out Bernie bros that are fed up with Democrat, and they just want a room where people like them. And
they're like never Biden burners, at least on my Twitter.
Yeah, most of the Twitter people who have supported people have seemed more like never Biden. But I wanna quickly like hit.
That's an even smaller group of people though, which is even less empowering.
I know this is
all the point that I'm trying to make. Also, I want to reiterate a point that I made on Political Hack and Slash. So by the end of this like election cycle, we are poised to have like to roughly double the squad, to the point where any given one of us could probably find anywhere from like 7 to 10 people in Congress that we like are pretty okay with, you know, that like that we would happily like continue to vote for and reelect for the foreseeable future, you know. So do y'all know how many independent people have served in Congress in the last 50 years?
170. Wait, like in the Senate or?
It's Senate and Congress.
Okay.
Last 50 years, independents.
Oh,
how many have
Bernie?
Angus King.
Yeah, and him.
Just give me a number.
I'm going to guess 27.
4, 5,
8.
Okay.
And more than half of those were to the right. They weren't independents because they were left like Bernie. They were to the right of the establishment, and so they left the Republican Party to prove how fucking conservative they were. So
are we counting Justin Amash here?
Yes.
Because I think it's a different game to run and win as a Republican and then change your party affiliation.
Totally, 100%. That's part of what I'm trying to say. So when we talk about like making this kind of change, I just don't really understand why so many people are ready to give up on the like, let's use the Democratic Party as our vehicle because it's their strategy. Like, I know that there's a lot of challenges with it, but it's literally a vehicle that we don't have to like fight with to get like our name on the ballot to do these things.
It's the least
like,
amount of work.
All of the progressives that we interviewed on this show who ran, they didn't have ballot access problems. They didn't have these problems that we're talking about that independents have. And I just have to point out that like, in a way, there's sort of almost an analogy between like, and this is also something I said on Political Hack and Slash, there's kind of an analogy between like the protesters wearing the cops out and like us like beating down the Democratic Party. Like they literally threw all of their weight behind preventing the Bernie nomination. Like they gave it everything they had, and now we're just like, oh, but we shouldn't go against them again, even though like we almost beat them. I'm just confused about that.
Yeah, like what? Like give 4 more years. Like, you know, Obama's less of like a star in these people's minds. Like I think it's totally possible that we have someone who's maybe not as left as Bernie, but closer. You know, like God forbid if it's someone like Tulsi. I don't want to think about those 2024 grifts. But
hell world shit I could see though, because like I can just have this like vision in my mind of like Tulsi getting up there and saying a bunch of really fucked up shit about like, you know, I don't know, Erdogan or somebody, like some like really like just ridiculous thing about some kind of like dictator, because God knows she's like bomb happy and a total fucking hawk. And like the DNC just being like, this is perfect. We did it. Like we found somebody who wants to bomb people and also is like ostensibly left. I can see that.
So let's talk about being ostensibly left. The People's Party has a pretty progressive platform. The word capitalism is not on their website. The word capitalism, I don't think, was used during their conference
at all.
I could be wrong.
I was gonna say you have to be like anti-capitalist to be progressive. But
progressive doesn't mean anything. Like, let's be honest.
Like, if you are a leftist and you are unwilling to even name the problem, Are you really a leftist?
Is the working class leftist?
I mean, a lot of them know. A lot of the working class is reactionary, actually.
If your politics is built around empowering the working class, and according to you, they are not leftist, is that a problem?
Yeah. It is a problem.
This is why I keep saying that fundamentally I'm not sure exactly what the lane is for the People's Party to become a big thing.
Well,
is that I mean, if their goal is to educate the working class, and like that is their goal, is to like make more working class people realize that like they maybe should think about leftism because like it suits their needs, then like that's okay potentially. But like in terms of like an actual like, you know, like getting people elected, like I mean, I just want to highlight like this, like I know that it's like fun to make this joke, but at the same time, like the Green Party doesn't have a squad. The People's Party doesn't have a squad either.
The Green Party doesn't like they don't. Like, it's not that they don't have a squad. They don't have anybody. They got nothing.
They have like a city councilor in Michigan or something. I don't know, but like you know, it's like they don't have a squad. Like at least if we have some representation in government, that's better than zero. And you got to understand, from my perspective, electoralism is never going to solve the problems anyway. So it's like, it doesn't matter. We could run the leftist candidates possible and it still wouldn't really solve all the problems. So what is electoralism about? It's about getting some things done.
Okay. I mean, it's a mess. It's really crazy. I don't know, because like we haven't even talked about what's the platform and also what are the first targets, because they've been talking 2022. Are you running independent people for Congress in 2022? Are you running someone from like, is Nina Turner going to run for mayor of Columbus? Like,
that would be cool. That would be cool.
Actually, probably would be fine. Actually, probably would be smart for her to run for a mayor position somewhere. But yeah, I don't know what that means and what your goal is. And also, it takes time to get ballot access. And you know, in a lot of cases, you either got to get a lot of signatures. That means like we're going to places and we're asking for people to come volunteer and collect those signatures. Also, the signatures often just get yeeted out by the judge anyway.
Yes.
What's the strategy? And I think that it's going to be like
backdrop of presumably what will continue to be a completely uncontrolled like COVID catastrophe. Because I cannot imagine that the Democrats, even if they do get into office, are going to actually successfully quash this thing, because they're not like.
No. Yeah, and yeah,
ineffectual.
That's also. This is one more thing I want to mention before we move on.
To anime.
As we talk about political movements, what is the vibe going to be like if Biden wins in February? I think there's an assumption that it's going to be like Obama era, where the libs go get brunch. And
I completely disagree that like there's this notion. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let me get some speaking time.
Have it.
Anyway,
when you talk, our numbers just fly through the roof. So
that is true. That is true. But there's this notion that like people like love to like repeat like, oh well, it'll happen just like when Obama was elected. First of all, Obama ran on a much more like leftist like program, like, you know, like during the campaign. Obviously, you know, we already know we got duped, right? But Biden literally today was like, I condemn the rioters and looters, in the words of Dr. MLK or whatever, when MLK said the exact opposite. You know, so it's like, this guy is not running a leftist platform at all. So there is no, like, anyone that has any sort of, like, anti-establishment field of thinking, they're not going to go like, oh, a Democrat's in office. Oh, and also, you have to really analyze the fact that like Obama was the first black president, and that gave a lot of people like a lot of like happiness. So like, oh wow, we got this, and it, you know, and like Biden's just another old man. Like he's an old white guy, and he's kind of creepy, and he's kind of like there is like I feel like the contingent of people that are going to be put to sleep, you know, is like astronomically smaller than what it was in 2008. Like I feel like it's maybe less than a third of the same amount of people that are going to be, oh, everything's back to normal.
I think giving people way too much credit. I think that for most people, especially libs, especially people who are like reasonably comfortable right now, I think politics is a strictly aesthetic exercise.
But most people aren't comfortable.
Who's comfortable, Rachel?
Yeah, who's comfortable?
The base, like the people who actually like care about Joe Biden, who are excited about Joe Biden, those people who actually have power in government, not like the people who vote. Not like regular people, but like the people who actually make political decisions, this like top 10% of the population whose opinions are the only ones that actually apparently matter to the people who are in office. Those people, right? The people who actually have the power, those people are going to check the fuck out.
That's good.
I think what's going to happen is that Biden will get into office and people will cheer for a minute, and then he'll be like, austerity, police money.
Yes.
And I think that
Biden needs to be inaugurated from a bunker. I think he needs to be like from day one under hellfire. That's my opinion.
But I don't think people actually are going to do it. I don't know.
I think that Rachel's take is like the popular left Twitter take. And I feel like people are ignoring the possibility that people will be pissed off at Biden from Jump Street.
I personally think that's very likely.
This is like a completely different time in history than the Obama era. And I think that we do ourselves a disservice by just mapping historical events onto current events. This is a weird, like if Biden has an especially tone-deaf reaction to some shooting that happens on the day that he's inaugurated or something like that, everybody's back on the streets and it's fuck Joe Biden. That may not happen that way, but I feel like we are discounting the possibility that it easily could happen.
Most of the protesters are people under the age of like 25 and 30. Like most of the protesters are young. The people are
back down to that, right? Because like, do I think the people who are currently actively protesting are going to stop? Probably not really. Like, I don't think.
Well, then nothing's going to change.
In the protest process are going to stop. What I do think is going to happen is that, like, for the people who have, the MSNBCers, those people, for those people, like, the protests are fucking irrelevant, right? Like the only reason that they have any sympathy for the protests right now is because they happen to be against Trump. And I think that those people have a disproportionate amount of power and they're going to wield it. They're going to use it the same way they always do to keep themselves comfortable, to keep themselves in power. And I don't think it's going to make a fucking difference. I think all of the resistance that they are making right now to Trump, which is kind of the only resistance that actually has like power in our system, as it has been very intentionally structured to make these kinds of like large, broad,
terrible take
changes. No shit.
Womp womp.
Because like we look at the statistics, we look at the numbers, there is like almost no correlation. There's almost no correlation between the will of the people and actual elected officials making policy that reflects that. It doesn't happen. The elected officials only care about the top 10%'s opinions. Full stop. They only care about the opinions of the people who have the money.
All right. Listen, you're not entirely wrong. I'm cutting you off. You're not entirely wrong, but you're completely overlooking a lot of factors here. First of all, I just want to say the brunch class are at brunch now. They're just whining while they're at brunch, but they're not doing meaningful things. I do not agree at all with your assertion that their resistance matters. Like, I could not agree less.
If they go back to sleep, they're like no longer annoying on Twitter. We have more.
Yeah, if they go back to sleep, it doesn't fucking matter because they're not doing anything that matters now. Like yes, they prevented Bernie from getting elected, arguably, but in terms of like the actual like stuff that still matters, like that battle's lost. It's over. Who cares? Like, in terms of the stuff that actually is going to matter, like in terms of like looking at like, is Trump or Biden in office? These people are at brunch now. They don't give a shit now. The people who are in the streets are a completely different group of people. The people in the streets are getting things done. And I will not agree that like it even matters if these people are fucking awake or asleep, because their version of awake is like oppression. like just disguised as like something better.
Yeah, but like, are we not talking about electoral politics? Like, if we're talking about the country at large, sure. I mean, I think we're gonna have a fucking civil war, possibly. You know, I don't think Trump's even gonna leave office. Like, we can talk about that, but if we're talking about like efficacy, like Biden gets elected, and what happens with like elected officials, and what happens with policy, like fucking, they stop.
I think personally, I think Biden. Now, I'm not trying to say Biden will go left. I don't think that at all. But I think there's a few things that can be done under Biden that wouldn't be done under Trump.
Okay.
Personally. And like, I think as far as harm reduction, like anything
Sure.
that can be slightly eased, I think that's a good thing, personally.
Sure. Yeah. But what I'm saying is like whatever sort of like resistance momentum exists right now is going to be completely lost. And when
there is no resistance, they pass all of Trump's bills.
That's what
like,
I'm saying.
You're speaking about a fantasy. There's no the resistance to Trump is like they're like here, Trump, here's a military budget. We're resisting you.
And
like,
what I'm saying is even the token resistance that they're doing right now is going to just evaporate. What's going to end up happening is like the discourse itself, I think, is going to start to fall apart. Like, and I don't mean to say this in the sense of like, oh, like nobody like gives a shit about politics. Like, politics are our lived experiences. Politics are like what is actively happening in our lives right now, and like the way that these pressures impact us. So I'm not saying the people who give a shit, who are dying right now, are going to stop dying and stop giving a shit, right? What I'm saying is, like, in terms of media narratives, in terms of like the amount of attention being paid to the issues, in terms of the way that like popular culture and popular conversation is engaging with these issues right now because of the token resistance to Trump, that's going to evaporate, and we're going to lose a lot of that momentum.
Rachel,
that's what I think is going to happen.
Rachel,
that is a like grim and black-pilled take.
Kate McKinnon might have some impact on how you engage with culture.
I don't actually know who Kate McKinnon is. Who is that?
But the rest of the world, in terms of American culture, doesn't give a shit about like the resistance. They have no.
I mean, like, young people are on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on YouTube. They're not watching MSNBC.
They don't really have any impact on media narratives. They don't really have any impact on art. They don't have any impact on filmmaking. They don't have any impact on music. They don't have any impact on sports. They tweet and they don't have impact there. So the idea that they control that the Hillary libs and Saturday Night Live control pop culture's reaction to Donald Trump is just not true. They repeat the shit that they hear from activists and from young people. And they
water it down a little.
Yes, they do not have any of that. And also in terms of the ability to bring issues to the forefront, there's not much. And I also don't think that the sliver of news media that covers for Biden is going to hold any serious sway in 2021. That is just my feeling on it.
It's been really interesting.
Anime.
Let's go to the post show where we're going to talk about anime. If you're a patron, that will be live for you, and also that link will be around for you forever, so you can watch that live or recorded, your choice. Patreon.com/notsafe. Just $1 gets you through the door to the post show live streams, and we will be over there talking about anime in just a moment. Brandon, what'd you want to say?
If you think Rachel has bad takes about politics, wait till we talk about anime.
I have great anime, and also my takes on politics are correct, and I will be fucking vindicated. Mark me.
I don't know if I'll agree with both of those statements, but Rachel, your taste in anime is good.
Imagine, if you will, as hostile as they are to protesters now, how much more hostile they will become once the protesters are protesting their guy.
Let's see what happens. And let's also see what happens in the post show. It's right after this, and we'll see you in the Patreon on the other side. Bye bye.
I didn't even get an